Hi, this will be my third entry for the portfolio, and this is for early childhood. And this will be discussing the physical, um, cognitive, and socio-emotional development. So, what is physical, cognitive, and socio-emotional development? So, physical, we'll be discussing more of like the fine and gross motor, which would be like gross motor would be the things that you do with like your whole body. So, jumping, skipping, hopping, your whole body, running. Fine motor would be like things you do with your hands. So, cutting, writing, things like that. And then cognitive would be your brain. So thinking, uh, reading, um, things like that, your internal processing. Um, Socio-emotional would be more of your moral judgment, um, getting along with your peers, internal dialogue, um, more of that building friendships, things like that. Um, More of that emotional side. And around this time, that's when kids start joining friendships. So it going to school. So you really start to see like how they are interacting with their peers, and it really starts to show if there are any deficits or delays. And that's when parents really start to see, and it really starts to come into play. And it can be like a mourning process, really, because when you're pregnant, you have this image in your head of what your child is going to be, who they're going to be. From personal experience, having a child with autism, I had this expectation for who my child was going to be. They were going to play sports. They were going to be popular. They were going to be a doctor. And when I had my diagnosis for my child, when I received that, it hit me really hard. And it took a little while for me to come to terms that my child may never be popular. They may never play sports. They may never do these things. And it was really hard for me. In the autism community, we have mourning ceremonies almost where we come together and we mourn the child that we thought we were going to have, and we celebrate the child that we do have. It's quite common actually, because it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we need to come to terms with the fact that that's not the child that we have, but there's nothing wrong with that, the child we do have. It's just different. So, this chapter talks a lot about knowing what is typical for their age, and then understanding that there may be differences with where your child is, and then recognizing where they are. And as social workers, we play a pivotal role in also supporting our clients with through that process in a multitude of ways. So, oftentimes, what can happen is our clients can experience a lot of things. So, because we have clients who have children with delays in development, it can cause some issues with school systems, with employment, which can then cause problems socioeconomically. So they can have issues with poverty, with homelessness, ineffective discipline, Divorce and parental relationship dissolution. That's actually a huge problem that I have seen personally with several friends of mine who, because of ineffective discipline, the divorce rate is quite high in the special needs parent or special needs community, unfortunately. So, as social workers, we tend to see that a lot. Violence is also quite high as well, both from parents and children that tend to act out, especially as they get a little bit older. Community violence as well. We help out with that as well with social workers, helping them to understand. Domestic violence as well tends to skyrocket as well. So, I mean, and child maltreatment. When you have a child who is not developing the way that their peers develop, it tends to drive up stress in the household, which unfortunately can cause parents to unfortunately take their stress out on their child. It shouldn't happen, but unfortunately it does. So, as social workers, we have to understand that our role is teaching parents that other coping strategies for how to handle their stress so that way their child is protected and safe in their household. So these are just a few ways that as social workers we have to understand that parents what issues that the parents are facing when they have children who are developmentally delayed, and they need resources as well on how to handle those stressors. So I guess that's really all I have to say right now. Thank you.